G'day, listeners. Big V podcast here. We are with our Division 2 women and we are discussing offensive and defensive averages. So we've got clear and cut number one, Gippsland United have not dropped a game yet this season. Questions around who's going to defeat them, whether they're going to go undefeated this year. But look, offensively, they are 21 points per game higher than the second place, which is Wallen.
Yeah, it's pretty rude how well they're scoring the ball this year. They've got so many options. They got some veterans in terms of Mackenzie Miller getting it done at 16 a game, but then they've got some youngsters in terms of Emily Schultz coming through at 12.5 points per game. Lauren Tuplin, since making the trip over from Frankston, has also been strong and is started to find her range a little bit on the weekend. She shot the ball quite well. They just have so many options.
Yeah, they really do. They're comfortably the number one team here in this league, but sitting second defensively as well. So there's, they're able to hold these teams to quite limited margins. But whether this Gippsland team has got this increased rating could be because of Mornington dropping out, whether they had that massive blowout. So whether that could be a question as to whether that's going to stay consistently that high.
Yeah, exactly. I think they scored about 150 in that game, so they certainly inflated their offensive rating there, but I still think they would be number one had we removed that. So goes on to number two, which is Wallen, which is probably no surprise that they're sitting second on the ladder. And Kyla Collins has been fantastic keeping their offense flowing, and she's probably a big part of the reason why she's the number one defense as well. And they're the best defensive team by 10 points per game. And if you go through their team and see how many steals they get a heap of steals.
Yeah.
And that's probably why they are limiting teams to 52 points a game.
Absolutely. And you sort of look at these lists from both sides as a whole, and it sort of stands to reason as to why these teams are at the position they are. They've got Surf Coast, who are fourth offensively and third defensively, sitting in third. You've got Blackburn, who is sort of competitive now. They're sort of on their way up with third offensively and fourth defensively, sitting in fourth place. You got Coburg, as you work your way down. They are defensively third rated. So they are able to stop these teams or limit them to a good margin. But offensively, they do have some room for improvement, obviously.
Yeah, and I think early days for Coburg, they were really struggling to put the ball in the hole efficiently. They were shooting some pretty poor percentages early. However, they've seemed to find their groove a little bit more. Becoming more efficient, obviously. Siobhan McAdowa, absolutely killing it offensively. I believe Emily Very has been out injured, which has been a big loss for them, but it's also given room for an Amy Scott to come through. Sasha Falatio has stepped up, now averaging 11 points per game. So they've started to get things rolling a little bit there down at Coburg, so they'll be hoping they can push for that final fourth position.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we've got Collingwood, who is sitting seventh here, or sixth, sorry. Last place defensively, giving up 80 points per game.
Quite comfortably too, Ted. It's giving up 80 points in this league is actually 12 points more than any other team per game, which putting that into context is a little bit alarming for the All-Stars.
It is, yeah. Well, you've got Anya Radisha, who's averaging 18 points per game in her 6 games thus far. She is shooting pretty well. She's rebounding, quite well, almost double figures. But turning the ball over 4 to 5 times per game is an issue for them. So whether these teams are getting constant fast break buckets is possibly an area as to why they are where they are defensively, something they need to fix up in the second half of the season.
Yeah, certainly. And that's then we sort of go down to the bottom there with RMIT, who have been incredibly impressive the last couple of weeks, having some significantly more competitive games, and it's been led by Jasmine Host, who's averaging 14 points a game to go with 8 rebounds, and she's not exactly the tallest running around out there, but to get 3.5 offensive rebounds per game shows to her sort of tenacity on the boards and her willingness to throw a body in there. So I got to see her against Gippsland, and she sort of kept them in it and kept them ticking over to what was a very competitive game.
Yeah, absolutely. A team that are on the rise, like you said, They are getting some wins on the board now, so a team to look out for in the future. They did, unfortunately, have dropped the last 4 games, but something that is there in the future.
I think with a very different roster from last year with Sammy Labros coming out, I think the coach and the team down there understand they're building for something which might not necessarily be this season, but they're building for next year. And the way they've just been competitive the last couple of rounds, I think they're heading the right direction.
Absolutely. Look, that'll be all for us, guys. We'll catch you all soon.